Welcome back to Backward Point Podcast. My name is Nazar Sayed. With me, as always, is the proponent of Bashball, the creator of Bashball. A thing that we've never actually seen play out, but at the end of the day, we don't need to because Aqib-Ball for the win. Bashar Sayed with me. Bashar, congratulations. Never in our history of our podcast have we sat down, you and I, across from each other like this and discussed a Pakistan series win. Not on this podcast. This is a first for us. I don't even know how to react. I don't know what to do with my hands. Everything is really weird. I don't know. This is an insanely weird place to be, but I like how I'm feeling here. Your thoughts, your feelings. Pakistan has beaten England 2-1 at home. First series win at home since 2021. Lots to say, lots to think about. Floor is yours, sir.
Like you mentioned, we've done a podcast where Pakistan has won a home test series. So I am not even sure how to start. Because, typically you would go back and pull from your past experiences. But since this is our debut Pakistan series winning podcast, I don't know where to start. A part of me is in disbelief because if after the first test match, you would have told me that, hey, Bashar, listen, Pakistan will be 1-0 down. And in that first test match, they will score 550. They will concede 800. And in this next test match, Pakistan will drop Babar Azam. They will drop Shaheen Afridi. They will drop Naseem Shah. Abrar Ahmed, our main spinner, will be injured. There's going to be a change in the selection panel. Jason Gillespie and Shan will not have a say in the selection committee. Aqib Javed will leave his job at Lahore Qalandars to join the PCB as virtually the director of cricket. And Kamran Ghulam will come in. He will score 100. Pakistan
On debut, first innings.
Pakistan will call up Noman Ali and Sajid Khan, who was literally sitting at his home in Peshawar. And Pakistan will somehow come down, win this test match, this test series 2-0.
2-1.
2-1. I would be like, it's possible because this is Pakistan cricket. This is the greatest thrill in history. This is the most emphatic drug ever created.
Pakistan cricket's win.
Pakistan cricket team.
Wow. Brilliantly put. I'm almost in tears listening to that because I feel very, very, I echo those sentiments completely. After the first test match, because the test matches were starting at 1 a.m. here and, I have a little one. I have to sleep early, but I would find a way to wake up at 3 or 4 a.m., check the score, maybe watch a few overs on Willow in my bed while my son is sleeping and just see if there's anything worth grasping. And as soon as the second test started, the abnormalities started. You mentioned the dropping of the three biggest superstars in Pakistan cricket right now, and then reusing a used pitch and just trying to manufacture a win, and then suddenly finding themselves at the cusp of victory against England. And then I think the third test match, which was the second win for Pakistan, that I feel like sealed the deal for me. The first one was like, this might be a fluke. We don't know if this is a recurring theme. The naysayers were naysaying loud and proud. And then the second test match happened and Pakistan showed, hey, if you put the odds in our favor, we will give you results in your favor. And this is like a huge eye-opener for a lot of people. There's a lot of this TikTok crowd that watches test match cricket now who haven't really seen Pakistan win in a long time, this COVID crowd. And they're coming out being like, hey, we could make turners. We could do that. And if you look at in the Pakistan's history, you'll go back and see that Pakistan, and that in this area, especially the subcontinent, is known for dry wickets, which will give you spin all day long, however long you want. The reason that Mutayar Muralidharan has 800 wickets, the reason that Anil Kumble has over 600, 700 wickets in Test match cricket goes back to how many home games they've played and how many wickets they've taken in turners like this. And for some odd reason, Pakistan cricket and the cricket board thought that going away from their strengths was going to somehow prove something to some people. I have a lot of thoughts on the way that the pitch turned out. I have a lot of thoughts on the way that this game turned out and the series. What could have happened if we found this anecdote or this antidote, I should say, back in 2022? Maybe it wouldn't be 3-0 washed against England and 2-0 washed against Australia. Maybe we would have actually come out maybe winning a couple of those series. I don't know. What I coulda, shouldas, a lot of them, but I'm sitting here very, very excited. A test match win, a test series win somehow trumps all the T20I wins. You can send New Zealand C a million times, and Pakistan can beat them 5-0, 4-1, whatever it is, a million times. But this is just sweeter. It is the most purest form of the game. It is the most extensive, lengthy form of the game. It truly judges your wits and your strength and your patience and your stamina and your fitness. And to come out 2-1 from the position that Pakistan was 1-0 in the beginning of this test, 2-0 against Bangladesh, just not having anything to do with winning. I think this is, kudos to everybody. You raise a glass, enjoy.
I think the one thing that is certain is that Yashi Sports is Canada's home of cricket. When I see Yashi Sports,
Yeah,
you say
Home of
Canada's
cricket.
home of cricket.
100%. I do say that.
This episode and Backward Point is proudly sponsored by Yashi Sports, Canada's home of cricket. Use the code BP10 and get an exclusive 10% off your next purchase. Cricket equipment, shoes, kit bags, they've got everything.
Everything?
Everything alongside, which I think is the most important thing, is expert advice. You don't want to get something you don't need. You want to get things that are tailored for your experience. And I think that is where the experts at Yashi Sports will come in. They will advise you what is the best for you. And to top it all off, BP10, 10% off your next purchase. Let's get it, guys. Let's get this code running. Let's get those purchases. I know the season is coming up where you guys are going to be in the nets practicing and getting your reps in for next season. So let's see some brand new blings in the nets.
It's scary how good you are at this, at the Yashi ad reads. They're not paying you enough.
We're taking more sponsorships. Please reach out.
All right, let's get into the game, man. Let's get into the wipeout of this series. Like, I really want to talk about this. I've never been this excited and jubilant in a backward point. I mean, in a backward point podcast in forever.
And would you think this would ever be a credit to Aqib Javed and Aleem Dar?
The man whose elbow I shaked?
Yo, you shaked Aqib Javed.
I shook his elbow, bro. Come on. People are already in the comments being like, these idiots can't even speak English.
Two things have happened since you've shoken Aqib Javed's elbow. Lahore Qalandars became bottom of the table, and Pakistan won a home test series. Credits to Aqib Javed.
And credits to me. It's the power that I transferred elbow to elbow. You know what I mean? Elbow to the palm of my hand.
Why did you shake Aqib Javed's elbow?
Because he was holding food in his hand, man, and I wanted to shake the man's hand, and he didn't want to do it, so he did one of these. You guys are on YouTube, you can see he did one of these. And I did it like this.
Basically, what happened is we were in the lobby last year for the GT20. Lahore Qalandars was the consultant for Toronto National. So Aqib Javed was the head coach. He was in Toronto. He was at the hotel that we were in the lobby of. And we look up and we see Aqib Javed in shorts. And would you call it a tank top?
Yeah.
A sleeveless shirt.
Sure.
And he comes in to pick up his Uber Eats order. I think it smelled like Hakka food.
Sure.
He picked it up. There were two bags. And as he took the bag in, you were fangirling. You were like, oh my God, this is the guy who won the 1992 World Cup.
Yeah.
He is Aqib Javed, hat trick against India in Sharjah. And you were like, I gotta shake his hands. And Aqib's like, yo, let me give you one better. Shake my elbow.
I did that. I shook his elbow. I'm proud, loud and proud about it. You guys can thank me later. I'm the reason that Aqib-Ball is happening in Pakistan. What do you think about Aqib-Ball? What is your impressions about it? I feel like this is, the cynic in me is like, this is somebody who's cheated the system, come to the complete top, given ultimate power, and is like wielding it like a dictator from 1920s. The optimist in me is like, this is what Pakistan needed. Let him cook. I'm conflicted.
Toyota came out with the Prius long before Elon Musk came up with the concept of the Tesla. But what Elon Musk did was that he took the idea of that hybrid car, took it a step further, and made the all-electric vehicle. I think if you ask anybody in Pakistan, how does Pakistan win test matches at home? The answer is simple. You make spinning tracks, you make a rough side where you get reverse swing from.
No, I want you to do it in Aqib's accent and the way he said it.
No, I can't tell you. But I mean, Yes, that clip from the podcast that Aqib Javed did is circulating.
It's been viral,
But
bro.
what I'm trying to say is that he did not reinvent the wheel. He's not saying something brand new. This is not like a eureka moment. On this podcast, we've been saying that Pakistan's home test identity needs to be what is of India's at home. Well, maybe not right now. And Bangladesh is at home.
We'll get to the India thing.
And what Sri Lanka is at home. You make turning tracks. You get the opposition batsmen who have typically come from CNI countries. You spin them out. That's how India beat England 4-1 just earlier this year. And that is how you were supposed to beat England. That's how you beat them. You made spinning tracks. You reused the pitch in Multan. You got heaters in to dry out the pitch in Pindi. And the same pitch where Jason Gillespie and Shan were trying to put 12 millimeters of grass so it can be a fast, bouncy pitch. That was the wrong idea.
This is what I come back with the PCB setting and wrong narrative. I think you said a very interesting thing. Everybody right now in the top management in Pakistan cricket has nothing to do with cricket or is not from Pakistan. Gillespie is from Australia. Azhar Mahmood is from UK. Gary Kirsten is from, I believe, South Africa. Like Simon, the fielding coach I was looking at is Simon something, not from Pakistan. The top class people who are making the decisions in Pakistan cricket right now are not within Pakistan.
Jason Gillespie comes in and he has just spoken in an interview that when he came into the Pakistan setup, he was told by the Pakistan management that they don't have spinners.
Boom. Boom. That's what Azhar Mahmood was reiterating at every single press conference.
He said, our strength is pace bowling. We don't have the spinners who can take 20 wickets. You know what? They can take 40 wickets.
And when you look at the call sheet and you see Naseem Shaheen on the call sheet and you're like, oh yeah, these are world class pacers. So maybe they're right. Maybe our strength is fast bowling. And you come out and you try to doctor some pitches that might support your fast bowling duo. And you come out, you make absolute stinkers, absolute roads that do nothing for anybody. It actually works against you because you don't have the quality of batsmen with at least if you have 7 batsmen, 3 of them are out of form or 4 of them are out of form. Only Rizwan, Salman Liaga, and Saud Shakil are actually doing anything. And the top 4 is completely out of the gate doing absolutely nothing for you. They're not going to come out and score the 700, 600 that they thought they were going to score. So it's always working against you. And this is where I don't understand what the local management is doing when they're informing the top management. Like Sajid Khan and Noman Ali have been in the shadows for a very long time. Actually, I believe Noman Ali and Sajid Khan both went to Sri Lanka with the Babar Azam led team and they beat them 2-0. If I'm not mistaken, I think both of them were in the squad. And if that was the way that the team was progressing, why do you come back home and you make these absolute stinkers of pitches that do absolutely nothing for anybody? Like, I kind of feel bad for Abrar Ahmed because if Abrar had gotten one of these pitches, maybe he wouldn't have gone to 300 runs without a wicket.
Imagine Abrar for Zahid Mahmood.
Like, we'll talk about Zahid Mahmood and his absolute irrelevancy in this team.
Virtually, Pakistan was with 9 guys. Amir Jamal batted like once in the 3rd test match and he didn't bowl a single over in the whole match, which is quite insane for a Pakistan side not playing, number one, a genuine pacer, and secondly, for that all-rounder who was the only fast bowling option to not have bowled a single over the entire match. Unbelievable.
First time in Pakistan cricket's test match history that's happened. We'll get to that. Actually, let's get to it right now. What does that mean? Does that mean that Pakistan is suddenly will never play fast bowling again at home? Like, there's a lot of critics coming out saying that even though this is a win, take it with a grain of salt. This is not really what Pakistan cricket is all about. Pakistan cricket is about fast bowling. Pakistan cricket is about fierceness and aggression. And this is the antithesis of what Pakistan cricket is about, blah, 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 blah. Are you in favor of that theory? Are you against that? What are your thoughts?
I think Pakistan can use the same template, but just go one level up.
Mm-hmm.
If they make a dry square, that can then bring in reverse swing into the picture. And someone like a Naseem Shah or Shaheen Shah, who can ball around 140 clicks, they can then come in and use reverse swing to their advantage. So imagine like a reverse swing spell from Shaheen and Amir Jamal going at it from both ends. That would be incredible.
I
And
think
yeah,
in that test series against Sri Lanka, Naseem was there and he was getting a lot of reverse swing. I feel like I just saw this maybe on Twitter a couple of weeks ago where if you remember, there was this moment where he got one player out like 4 times on like
I think it
before.
was Angelo
Yeah,
Matthews
and it would just keep getting
down
overturned.
leg.
And there was a point where Naseem was like, "Bhai ab na le review."
Even in Multan, Naseem had a pretty good spell of reverse swing against Joe Root. I think Naseem Shah is just the unluckiest bowler of all time. He bowls good spells, doesn't get a lot of wickets, and looks quite threatening for the most of the time when he is bowling reverse swing.
Yeah, I'm just looking up the score here. Pakistan, the first match that they won against Sri Lanka in that test series in 2023, Pakistan won by 4 wickets. In the second one, they won by an innings and 222 runs. I believe this is a test match that Saud Shakil hit 200 in,
That's correct.
right? Yeah, Abdullah Shafiq hit 200 in, sorry, and Salman hit 132 in. Yes. Saud Shakil hit 57 in. One of these games, Saud Shakil hit a double hundred. Am I misremembering this?
He did score double hundred. I think it was also not out.
I think it was the first test match. Let me just double check this.
Yeah.
So Shakil 208 not out first test match. So Shakil hits a double century in the first test match. Abdullah Shafiq comes out and hits a double century in the second one. We'll talk about Abdullah Shafiq a little bit as well. But that was what it was. And look at this team that Pakistan had played. They had Shaheen Afridi, Naseem Shah as well, and Noman Ali, and Abrar Ahmed, and Salman Liaqa. So those were the three spinners and the 2 fast bowlers. I feel like, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts. Firstly, Pakistan has forgotten how to win, period, in test match cricket. We've discussed this before on the podcast. You even made a reel about it. Pakistan has lost a template on how to win. If this is a template, at least regain some of that confidence, I'm okay with it coming back. Is this a long-term solution? I don't know, man. There has to be a balance because if it keeps on, if you do the same thing where it's completely dry and it's doing absolutely nothing except for turning and staying low, then it will become repetitive. You might win a lot of games, but is it actually furthering your local cricket, your domestic foundation of what type of cricket you want to play? I don't know. That's why I agree with you, and I agree with Aqib Javed when they keep saying keep the square dry as well. Because when you do that, you have at least something for the fast bowlers where they can come in a 30, 40-year-old ball, they can do some damage with it. You have Shoaib Akhtar behind you, and he's one of the most lethal reverse swing bowlers because of his pace, because of the way that he used to use that rough for his favor. He would take 3 or 4 wickets, and on average on every test innings that he played. If it was a belter, like if it was in Australia or England, he would take 7 or 8. That's the type of aggression you want to keep within your fast bowlers. Right now, the morale of your fast bowling, a duo, and your top middle order, a top order batsman is absolutely low. The only people who are shining are a bald mustached man, an old 38-year-old man, and 2 people from the middle order in Pakistan cricket. So even though, again, I don't want to sugarcoat this and be like, oh, this is the best one ever, and Pakistan has suddenly found a template, and this is going to be a repetitive thing. I just want to be cautious of where I am and where I'm looking at and how we even came to this level here.
I think we'll go in detail as to how we came to the situation, but I know there's a big faction of people on the socials where they're like, "Oh my God, this is not the greatest win. Pakistan did not deserve this," or is this the way that they're going to win matches in the future? To them, I would say that the Pakistani cricket fan base was at a point where they had lost hope, and this series win, regardless of how you've achieved it, it's given the fans a sense of relief. It's brought back a lot of people back into cricket who were at a point boycotting it. You talk about how Pakistan has been reaching new lows in the last 1 year in international cricket. I think this series win will go a long way in terms of solidifying Pakistan's home test identity, as well as bringing back those fans that were a bit distant from Pakistan cricket. And I think, yeah, credit has to go to Aqib Javed, the selection panel, the bold moves they took. I was taken aback by them, but in hindsight now, I think the right calls were made, the right strategy was made. I could not believe that they were in a position in the first test to make a flat pitch where you give England a chance to outbat you, which they did. So it was an absolute no-brainer to make these pitches. I even heard Ben Stokes and Merdan McCullum in the post-match, and they had, firstly, no complaints of how the pitch was. And secondly, they both were shocked as to why Pakistan had not gone for this strategy earlier. And, that's just what you expect. Ben Stokes exposed in Asia, exposed in Pakistan, averaging 25, 26. Zach Crawley, Ollie Pope, I think, got like 50 runs this whole
Yeah,
series.
it's a horrible series for Ollie Pope.
Horrible, horrible.
Honestly, I like he was even capping the first game, and in a flat decker, I think he got out in like the second or third block. It was horrendous. He had one of the worst series that I've seen a batsman have, and we also had Babar Azam in this test match and the series before that, who's having a horrible run. But Ollie Pope is just like, you know what, Babar, hold my chai. I'll be right back. I'll give you a better one. Man, I don't know. What was your best part about this test series? What was the best comeback for you?
I just think the stories that we got from this series, Sajid and Noman, Sajid, he's been complaining about consistently being dropped right from his childhood cricket levels to where he is now. And for him to come here, outshine everybody. I mean, take into account, England spinners have the same surface. Jack Leach, Shoaib Bashir, Rehan Ahmed are playing on the same surfaces. Why aren't they able to get the same level of turn and wickets that Noman and Sajid are? They're doing something right. They've got years of first class behind them. And the way they're using their off, the way they're using the pace variation, the way they're lining up the batsmen, I think that is high level of skill. And to be very honest, I think one thing that stood out to me more than their actual bowling was the grit and determination they showed while batting. I think Pakistan would not be able to get this win if it weren't for the partnerships that they got alongside Saud Shakil, which enabled him to get to his century, which enabled Pakistan to get to a lead, which then finally gave more time for Pakistan and this pitch to get older so it can turn furthermore. We saw the match finish in, 2.5 days?
Yeah, I think it was one of those things where if you give your bowlers the resources, they will give you the results. I think something we mentioned before. Sajid Khan and Noman Ali, they were sort of sidelined as, oh, they're just stock bowlers. They don't have anything. They don't have any variety. They don't do anything special. And again, it was the narrative that was fed to us. We ate it up. Everybody, whoever's watching this, nobody was like, oh, we should put Noman Ali and Sajid Khan back into the team. Nobody was saying this. So this is why Aqib-Ball and Aqib Javed comes in and we give credit to him and be like, you believed in these guys. You claimed something and you went out. You actually stuck to your word and you came out from the other side victorious. The fact that Sajid Khan and Noman Ali were so disciplined and so relentless with their length, with their pace. Sajid Khan is the man of the series, but for me, Noman Ali, it's just like the way he comes in, jogs in, 38-year-old uncle, just hand over his head, turning the ball a mile. The
Thinks
loop,
he's Brian Lara while he's batting?
bro, the loop, the dip, the turn, the bounce, the edges, like it was absolute cinema at one point watching these two go at it. And the third day, I believe, I stayed up. I stayed up 2.5 hours to watch these guys clean up the clean up the English middle
Freudian slip.
Freudian slip. I'm so sorry about that, my Indian fans. The English middle and tail end, I was loving the way that they were cleaning them up. And it was obviously like a sight for sore eyes. I haven't seen Pakistani spinners do that since Yasir Shah, Ajmal. Like it's been a very long time. Abdur Rahman.
The Sajid and Noman combo made me think of the Saeed Ajmal and Abdur Rahman combo back in the day. I mean, not like Sajid has a dusra, but I think Sajid does have a lot of skill behind him. And I think this leads us to the next fantastic performance of this match was Saud Shakil's century. I think 134 runs with just 5 fours, which is so 134 runs he scored in total, 5 fours in total. That's like 20 runs. So the rest, 114 runs he scored by running singles and doubles. I think this is the real shining moment of the match. For a game that is finishing within 2.5 days, where England are struggling to score 267, Saud Shakil comes in and scores 134 runs. Incredible partnerships with Amir Jamal, Noman Ali, and Sajid Khan.
Man, the Karachi agenda peaking. Like my Karachi-ness was like literally bleeding through my shirt. I wanted to get the biggest, fattest bun I've ever seen in my life, stuff it in my mouth, and start talking to everybody like I was a maniac. Like it was just beautiful to see Saud Shakil come out. And again, there's two amazing Karachi players in this Pakistan cricket team with Saim Ayub and Saud Shakil. Saim Ayub, a typical Karachiite. You have so much expectations from him, and he fails every single time. And so Shakil, the man. If you're from Karachi, you'll understand the reference. He's the guy from Pul ke Us Par, which means that he is that blue collar guy, my guy. He's from the streets of Johor, from the streets of Gulshan. He knows what it's all about, and he goes out there and he proves his point. The real Karachiite.
He was with his kid bag on those mini buses, getting pushed around, seat to sit.
He knows what a D-Unis is, man. He knows what that is. A D19? Anybody?
D-Unis.
D19, G19, all of these. Gulistan. He knows the struggle, and he went out there in Pindi and he was like, you know what? I'll give you one better. I won't even hit a 4 for like 3 hours. There you go. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna make you all cry at how much you want me to hit these balls. All I'm gonna do is dap them. Single, double. Gap, not gap. Maiden, no problem. I don't even know what that is. It was absolutely beautiful to see it. If you go back and watch his innings, the elongated version, you'll see a man just sticking to his guns. And I love that.
One of my core memories growing up in Karachi is playing one-tip cricket in my puppy's terrace.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be a pretty decent area, but one tip is out. Two body out is out. If the ball hits your bat and then any of the walls directly, that's out. So essentially, it's like walking on eggshells, and scoring around there would be the most difficult thing because some of our cousins would come in finger balling, googlies and off spins and like the craziest variations you will ever see in your life.
Two body out. So you can't even stick your body out.
So on that terrace, you would need to manufacture runs. You would need to literally like sit on the ball with the bat or like splice the bat down to the ball and smash it down.
Or there was one shot that I used to play that you basically kind of scoop it but onto your body. So you're the second thing that the ball hits after the bat. Like there was variations of that. And I know where you're going with this. It was basically like that for Saud Shakil at that Pindi pitch.
That's what it was. That's Saud Shakil knock. If you go ball by ball, every single he took.
He thought one tip was out.
One tip was out. Two body was out. He was manufacturing runs. He stole, I think for a minute, he played the greatest trick that Ben Stokes did not even catch is, the fielders were on the boundary. He kept hitting it for singles and doubles and just dabbing it around. And he trusted Noman Ali and Sajid Khan to support him, which they did. I mean, their innings were nothing less of a rampage themselves. Sajid Khan taking Shoaib Bashir to the cleaners is one of my favorite moments of this test match. And Saud Shakil, I have this quote from The Dark Knight Rises. Saud Shakil is put into a spinning, churning wicket in Pindi. And Saud Shakil has grown up in Karachi. We played cricket in Karachi, and those pitches are dry. Those pitches are dusty. The ball stays low. I think aside from a couple of hours from pace, everybody ball spin. There's left arm spinners coming in.
The loopiest spin you've ever seen in your life.
They're the most mysterious bowlers you will ever hear of.
Mm.
And so here is Saud Shakil in a Karachi-esque pitch, and the England team is looking at him, and he gives them this quote, which is what Bane said to Batman in The Dark Knight Rises. He says, you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man. By then, it was nothing to me but blinding.
So the light in this scenario is like a very, very bouncy pitch? That's the light? I don't need that?
No, the light is basically the spinning track.
The spinning track. Yeah.
So the England team adopted to the dark, but
he was born in it.
Saud Shakil was born in it.
Yeah.
He grew up in it.
He grew up in it. Yeah, so the darkness is, I guess, the spinning pit trick, and then the light would be, I guess, a bounce track? Because it would be the opposite, right?
If you know, you know.
If you know, I love that. I think, but making Saud Shakil Bane in this scenario is so sinister because Saud Shakil, if anything, is the Batman, sort of saving Pakistan out of this rut. One thing that we were all scared of, everybody in the management, take a name from a hat in the Pakistani circuit. They were like, you make spinning tracks. Will we even be able to score runs off of it? And Saud Shakil came out and was like, you know what? Katta Karachi, bro. I'll give you 134. I love this inning so much. I think it's his best innings. He has a 208 not out in Sri Lanka. And away century is always a little bit more impactful. But in this situation where we don't even know what our home advantage is, what our home turf is, this seemed like an away game to me. And for me, I'll take the win. Saud Shakil, you're the GOAT.
Pakistan comes in, second innings, gets in England bowled out for 112. Noman and Sajid share the 10 wickets amongst them, 6 wickets for Noman, 4 for Sajid. And then Pakistan chase it down within 3.1 overs, courtesy Shan Masood, 23 off 6 balls, 4 fours, and a 6 to win the match and seal the series as well. Quite fitting, given the amount of criticism and disrespect thrown at Shan Masood. I was quite happy that he came out and hit the winning runs for Pakistan.
Yeah, I think the way he finished that up, it was about 3 a.m. here, and I was like, man, I know Pakistan's winning this. I want to see the winning moments. And at some point, I thought, hey, I think Pakistan already won because Ramiz called it. And lo and behold, Ramiz was literally, I don't know what he was on. We'll talk about Ramiz Raja in a second. But, Ramiz had a false call. I was like, oh, I got to stay here because there's definitely a 36-run target that you got to chase. And I thought that Simon and Abdullah Shafiq would be able to do it. A 10-wicket win would have been sweet. And Saim showed some intent. I'll give him that. Again, I tweeted this out from Backward Point's Twitter account. I said, when Saim is on the crease, he looks like one of the most best batsmen that you've ever seen. And then he gets out in the most horrendous ways that it boils your blood. And that's been his case. Apart from that 77 he hit, was it in the series? Yeah, it was in the series, I believe. Apart from that 77, he's just been lazy, inefficient, annoying to watch. The ball's not even doing that much, man. It's just a little bit of a bounce. You can play that around. And he comes out, plays a lazy shot. I don't know what to say to him. I think they're going to back him up. He's in the Australian squad that I've seen. And that's a video for another time.
But test matches, Pakistan's next test match assignment is versus South Africa. And I think the $1 million question here is, does Babar Azam come back? A. If yes, who does he come in for? And where does he go? And in my opinion, if you ask me, I think one of Abdullah, Shafiq, or Saim Ayub has to bite the bullet. Shan Masood would likely go to open. Babar Azam at 3 or Kamran Ghulam at 3. And that's how you fit Babar Azam back into this lineup.
I don't even want to go there. I don't even want to think about what the South Africa tour is going to look like or what's going to happen there. But yeah, I'm just Saim is being really annoying to me recently. It's like one of those not even like a boyfriend who's very toxic. Like, I want to love you, let me love you, but you're making it so hard for me to love you. And right now that it's just, I'm still here, but like I'm barely here, I'm still alive, but I'm barely breathing type of situation, the script. And I just need him to be better. Saim, I expect better from you. I need you to be better, buddy. And it's not going to happen like this.
Speaking of toxic exes, Ramiz Raja.
Oh my God.
Ramiz Raja in this whole series has sounded so biased in his commentary.
I thought you were going to say bitter. He sounded absolutely...
I'm trying to be nice here.
No, why? He's been an absolute...
Trying to be PC.
I don't know, man.
He is
here.
that toxic ex, but you tell them, when you go to the ex and be like, yo, your ex is doing really well. Like, they just got engaged and they're going to be married soon. You're like, oh my God, I am so happy for them. It's so good. You can hear the fake positivity coming out of their tone. And that's what I felt this whole series in Ramiz Raja's commentary and his interviews. And I think a lot has come out, which has made us understand this whole situation better with Ramiz Raja and the interviews he's given and the commentary he's done. And I think one of the most important things that we've learned is from Ramiz Raja's appearance on BBC's test match special commentary during the second test match. In a period of commentary where he was commentating with Daniel Rasool from Cricinfo, Daniel Rasool asked Ramiz Raja, hey Ramiz, looking at this pitch, do you regret the pitches that were made under your tenure? And to that, Ramiz came out saying that, not really. I was not bossing the pitch preparation. I was only listening to Babar Azam. Now, these are the same pitches where Nathan Lyon, at the end of the first test match in Pindi, came out on the test documentary saying that was officially that was the worst game I have ever been a part of. And that was mostly because of the kind of pitch that was in Pindi. It was a drawn test match. If you look at the pitches that were made in Pakistan under Babar Azam's captaincy tenure, they were flat decks. We got tons of runs. We barely got any turn. We barely got any reverse swing. And it was essentially a batting paradise. And I think all of this begs a question. Ramiz has come out and he's put Babar Azam under the bus. Was Babar Azam behind all of this pitch debacle that happened under his tenure? He made flat decks. He scored tons of runs in that series. He was Pakistan's second highest run scorer. Babar Azam's 7 of his 9 test match centuries are in Pakistan. The other one in UAE, the other one in Australia. So, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but like, what is going on here? Is Babar Azam making batting friendly wickets so he can stat pad, so he can climb up the ICC rankings and make himself a better brand?
Firstly, the question becomes: do you trust Ramiz when he comes out and says this, or is he just saving his butt and trying to?
Well, why would he save
face
his
it?
butt? I don't
Why not?
think he's going to come back as
He's
chairman.
getting so much pressure on this, and he's getting so much backlash on this. In his tenure, Pakistan had one of the worst test match runs. In his tenure, he made Babar Azam captain and then gave him full reign on whatever he wanted to do.
Doesn't that support the fact that Babar Azam, if he had that sort of a power and reign to do whatever he wants, he was also involved in the pitch curation?
You think a captain is actually coming out and like checking out the soil and being like, I want this pitch to be this, that, and the other? Do you actually believe that?
Absolutely. I think in the whole tenure that Misbah had of playing test matches in the UAE, he wanted more turning tracks. But I don't think the curators gave him what they wanted. With Babar's case, I think there are a few selective press conferences where he's come out saying that he wanted a turning track, but the curator was not able to make it. I don't know. I'm asking you.
I'm more in the camp of I don't really buy Ramiz Raja right now. I think this goes back to his just general behavior in this whole test series has been shoddy. It's been extremely just awkward and cringe to experience from as a Pakistani cricket fan. You come in the comms, you smell the bitterness, you hear it in his voice. The post match interview, the way that he conducted the post match interview after Pakistan has won 2-1 against England at home after 3 years, beaten England after 10 years in a series, you come out and you sort of belittle your test captain.
He asked Shan Masood, how do you possibly lose 6 test matches in a row? Like, how did you manage to do that?
Man, Shan is a better man than I am. Honestly, the tone that Ramiz Raja was using, the way that he was belittling him, condescending him, it was just, I wanted to be extremely violent at that moment. I was like, this is not how you treat a first class professional cricketer, man.
A Pakistan sitting test captain who's won a series against England 2-1.
Shan Masood is the nicest man I've seen on TV, honestly, because that would have started a whole other thing. You're banning Fakhar Zaman for a tweet. What would you have done if Shan Masood threw hands? I just think I've tweeted this out. I believe that Pakistan media and Pakistan cricket needs new blood in the comms box. Uruj Mumtaz, love her. She's very unbiased, has a great voice, has great boom in her voice, knows what call to make, when to make it.
Well researched,
a great spokesperson. Love her in the comms. I think she's a good representative of what Pakistan cricket needs and a step in the right direction. It's time to retire the old heads. I know, we had a guest recently, Andrew Leonard, on the podcast, and he told us on and off the record that the comms box is a little bit of a boys' club, a gentleman's club. They sort of look down upon other people and look down upon, newcomers who want to come into the comm section because, this has been veterans and people who have been there for 20, 25, 30 years, some of them. And I think it's time to change that whole narrative. Like, this is embarrassing if you're a Pakistan cricket fan. Ravi Shastri was also in a very high position in Indian cricket. And, he took that position. He took India to great heights, retired or resigned or whatever the situation was after that, came back and is completely impartial with what is happening within the circle of Indian cricket.
That's a great example.
And he's calling out the games like they should be. And he's a great commentator, man. Like, we loved hearing him. Energetic, ecstatic, loves being there. But what Ramiz Raja has pulled off cannot keep happening. Somebody has to take him into account, and somebody has to give him a reality check. This is not how you treat your cricket players on live television.
He called Noman Ali anemic. He said, how is Noman Ali doing? He looks anemic. And sometimes, a lot of people can say what they actually want to say in a joking manner, and they can like say anything mean to your face, and they'd be like, "Oh, I was just kidding," but that's what they actually meant. And I think that's what Ramiz's body language and his tone was saying. Um, but to top that all off, I think the most disturbing thing that Ramiz said was in the post match when he was reviewing the third test match in the series with Jonathan Agnew, again for the BBC Test Match Special podcast. When asked about the decision of dropping Babar Shaheen and Naseem Shah, Ramiz Raja came out saying that to advertise Pakistan cricket, what is a better way than a Babar Azam cover drive or a Shaheen Afridi in-swinging delivery? He said that Babar, Naseem, Shaheen are hot properties in Pakistan. Now, I'm going to do a survey right now, right? I'm going to ask the people listening in and the people watching, what do you want to see? Do you want to see Pakistan cricket team winning games of cricket? Or do you want to see a Babar Azam cover drive? Or do you want to see a Shaheen Shafri, the in-swinger? What do you want to see? The answer for me is I want to see Pakistan win games of cricket. I don't really care about a Babar Azam cover drive. I don't care about a Shaheen Shafri, the in-swing and delivery. Yes, if they do contribute for a Pakistan win, yes, I do care about them. But if not, I don't think I am one who would crave the aesthetic of a player for individual brilliance versus the overall team win.
That's a very, very good point, and I totally agree with you. I just didn't know that Ramiz Raja was a closeted Boberson.
Bro,
was a wild.
Have you seen that show that I'm referring for the past few episodes?
Yeah.
Did you see how he was fangirling over Babar?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've heard it. It's in the comms box. He was Babar was in the first test. You could just like he hit one weird lofty drive off square, and Ramiz just went off on him. Next ball, Babar is out, caught behind. It was just one of those things where I was like, I did not know Ramiz was this much of a Babar son, this much of a closeted Babar fanboy. And it was like everything that people accuse us of, I was like, oh, this is Ramiz Raja. But only that he was chairman and he had all the power and he was given all the power. I also want to I don't know if I'm misremembering this, but as I understand it, because Pakistan's chairman is a political appointee, I think Imran Khan appointed Ramiz Raja. And Imran Khan told Ramiz Raja, make Babar captain. And he also said, give him full reign. So low key, all comes down to IK. And I feel like that's something that people don't really want to talk about. How we, as Pakistanis, when Imran Khan did come to power as prime minister, we expected him to at least fix the Pakistan cricket circuit. Arguably left it worse than where he found it. And arguably gave the wrong people the wrong kind of power. And we had to deal with the repercussions of it for years on end. And we'll do for more months on because this isn't over yet. Again, not saying Babar Azam is a bad person, not saying that Babar Azam is a bad player, just that maybe giving him captaincy a little bit prematurely was, it's all in front of everybody.
I don't think there's any problem with giving captain power. I think it's important. I think at least the captain needs to have the power to make decisions, to pick his team. But what's important alongside that power is accountability. And I think that's the part where the PCB missed out. And the point where you mentioned that Imran Khan was behind the appointment of Ramiz and Babar Azam, that goes even further back because the morning of the India versus Pakistan 2019 ODI World Cup match, Imran Khan tweets that Sarfraz, if he wins the toss, he should bat first, score runs on the board, and then get India out quickly. Sarfraz wins the toss. It's overcast conditions in Manchester, and he balls first, which the inside news is completely ticks Imran Khan off. When Pakistan lose the series against Sri Lanka C team at home, the PCB overall looks at that as an opportunity to remove Sarfraz, which they do. They kick him out. Rizwan comes in, and the rest is history.
So we can trace this back to just like politicians being politicians, regardless if it's IK or if it's MNS or whatever. Insert politician here.
Mohammad Narsayed.
This goes back to how deeply flawed the Pakistan cricket system is, and we mentioned this many times. There's a lot of podcasts out there, Pro Sports, Patafas, they will tell you the same, that the way that this whole setup functions itself is flawed, extremely flawed, to a fault. And you might like it once when it's your guy on the board, but when it's not your guy, you're going to be annoyed about it. I think there should be a complete overhaul of the system. Um, we've talked about it many times. I don't want this to be a one-off. I don't want somebody to come in 2 days before a test match or 2 days before a series, mid-series, make these horrendous changes, drop 4 players, bring 3 back, change the pitch, reuse the other one, put a heater underneath it, bring in fire, snow, doctor it, use AI to do whatever. I don't need that. All I want is some sense of stability. Hopefully, there will be some after a win. This is something that Pakistan cricket has been craving, nonetheless, for a very long time. I just hope that Pakistan cricket finds its footing now because it's really high time. A lot of these fans were disenfranchised. You and I talked about it on this podcast, how difficult it is to keep potting and how difficult it is to keep the spirits high, keep talking about a team that is against itself more than it's against its, people it's playing against, its competitors, shooting itself in the foot many, many times in a single series. And a lot of this could be avoided if you just did this template through 2 or 3 years ago. Who do I blame? Do I blame Ramiz Raja? Do I blame Babar Azam? Ramiz Raja, at the end of the day, appoints Babar Azam, appoints the captain. And, you can listen to your captain. You can take his advice and move forward with what the captain wants in the playing 11, playing 15, coach, etc. What style of cricket they want to play. That's what Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum do really well. They're on the same page like 95% of the time. You can have that. But the whole reason of you being a chairman and you being on the top of the board is that you get to veto, edit, do all that. I'm reading Stephen King right now, and Stephen King has a very impressive quote where he says, writing is human and editing is divine. When you write, you make the calls, that's great. But when you come out and you take stuff out, you put stuff back in, that's the job of someone who's higher than you, the editor, the chairman, in the sense. He has to come out and make those strict calls. And I don't know, man. I don't know who to blame. Babar Azam is out of the test right now. And, he's been called back into the squad for Australia, which we'll talk about in the next podcast. But it's just one of those things that we won't know if it was the chicken or the egg. All we know is that Pakistan did not win a test match 3 years at home against Bangladesh, Australia, England again, New Zealand. Like, it was just horrific. But test match cricket was back in Pakistan after years, after the horrendous attack in 2009. And we were just unable to capitalize on that. I'm just very glad that we have turned over a new leaf. I hope this is a new leaf that's being turned over. Aqib-Ball, I'm dubious about. I may have shaken or shook the man's elbow, but I'm still on the fence of what this actually entails. Will he be able to keep his promises? He's made a lot of claims. I don't like the whole knee-jerk reaction that I'm seeing. I don't like, it just feels a bit frantic. It doesn't feel calculated at all. I am cautious of this win for sure. Celebrating it, enjoying it, making it feel great, but I'm taking a step back and being like, I hope this continues.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Ramiz will get removed as a chairman. Babar will resign as captain, but we don't have the accountability. But the repercussions of what they've left behind, we are still suffering to this day. So again, just with the amount of changes and inconsistency with the board, imagine yourself being a Pakistan player. Like, who do you trust to be your selector? Who do you trust to be your coach? Who do you really take advice from with respect to them giving you security? Like, if up until the second test match or the first test match, if Shan, Masood, and Jason Gillespie were like, Bashar, you're the test team, you're playing the next test match, I would believe them. But then change of selection committee and they'll no longer have selection power.
Insane. That is a horrible call.
Mid-series, right? So who do I trust as a player? Where does my future lie? And that's where insecurities come from. That's where when players do eventually get the opportunity, rather than playing for the team goal, they go for individual performances to just safeguard their future. And I think I've heard enough Jason Gillespie interviews after that second test match, and he seems annoyed. He seems agitated.
He's restrained without saying anything, particularly specific, but you can sense in his tone and his body language that he's annoyed.
He's gone from head coach to just being a match day strategist. we're at that point where our captain and our coach are not part of the selection panel. And a huge problem with that is once Pakistan loses, who will come out to take accountability? Typically, it's the captain and coach in the post match press conference, but now that they have no say in selection, does Aleem Dar come in the post match? Does Bilal Afzal or Hassan Chima come in the post match taking accountability?
Aleem Dar is a wild selection committee choice. That's absolutely unheard of. He was one of the best umpires like 3 months ago.
Social work.
Social work, and he's come out. Man, I don't know.
So I think, lots to think about. We will cover what's happened recently in Pakistan cricket with the captaincy changes, with the squad announcements in a future podcast.
Just
So
want
stay
to
tuned.
really go through before we go to the India test real quickly. I just want to really go through the Patreon comments because I did put it on Patreon last night about just the win. You know, our Patreon has been extremely quiet for the past, I want to say, 12 months. Just because, not because we haven't been posting or people haven't been engaging. It's just been like, I'm sick of this team. I want to get away. I can't. I'm obsessed.
Someone's left the Patreon.
People have left. Yeah, people have left the Patreon because of like, I need a break from Pakistan cricket. And so I would love to take some of these comments because this is just great to see. Shazzy says, what makes this victory that little sweeter is winning the match after losing the toss. Shan mentioned that after the win in Multan, there was a lot of criticism stating that Pakistan only won that game because they won the toss and batted first. I think this win in Pindi has shut them haters up. Totally agree.
Shazy, the OG patron, bro. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah. I think I read somewhere actually that Shan did say that we wanted to win the match even more after we lost the
it was in
toss.
the post match.
Shahrukh says he wrote a big post. I won't read all of it, but he says the victory was sweet, but leaves a lot of questions on the table, like we've just discussed. Is this our new template? What happens when New Zealand and South Australia come here? Do we make flat tracks again, like the last time we did to protect our batsmen? What are we going to do when we have teams that play spin well, like Bangladesh and Sri Lanka? Like a lot of that we've addressed. That this template has opened a lot of doors for us, but has also left us with a lot more questions. I just have to wait to see when West Indies comes in January if this template is revised or taken to the next step. I hope it is. It's a good foundation, like I've said, but I would love to see it build over because I don't want our fast bowlers to just not be able to play at home anymore and just have spin over and over. Like what we had 89.5 overs of unbroken spin between these two guys. That's unheard of, insane.
And then one over from Said Ayub.
Weird. Over reliance of these two guys is also unhealthy. Noman 38.
He has not passed the fitness test, and his central contract says category C brackets subject to fitness.
Again, 38 years old. Glad that he's setting the stuff right and is in the team and taking wickets and winning matches. But is this this is again short term? We're looking 6 months. That's it. We're not looking beyond that. And I guess that's all we have because the TC cycle will rechange after next year anyway. So maybe for the short term, it's good to set. It's good that he's setting the Pakistan team on the right track, but I don't see him.
Perhaps get Mirhan Mumtaz under Noman Ali's wing, get him to play more first class. So by the time Noman is at a stage where he can say goodbye, which might be pretty soon actually.
Shahrukh had a lot of questions. One of them was, why is Raja Rambo the epitome of toxicity? When will he answer for the crimes he has committed against the Pakistan cricket team? At the end, it feels like the end of Oppenheimer, where we have won the war, but we have started a chain reaction that will ultimately bring about our destruction. Stay tuned.
One day, when we get Ramiz on the podcast, we will ask him tough questions.
I think he'd be a great guest. He has so much insights. He was in the 92 team. He knows a lot about cricket. He was chairman of Pakistan cricket. He's made some mistakes, made some blunders. But he was the one who assigned as Babar Azam as captain, and we would love to sit down with him like 90 minutes, 120 minutes, just eat his brain out. I think it'll be great to have that.
Really depends what the appearance fees is.
Zain Ali says, I'm feeling positive. Pakistan cricket again probably won't last long. Zain, hold on to that thought. Taimur Rabbani says, we back, baby. Do we see any development to replicate what King Noman can do? Where does this rank for you personally in Test Series wins? There was a long time pre-27 that I watched only casually or passingly, so it'd be good to get some context on this series historically. I tweeted this. Is this the best comeback for a Test team in a Test series ever? Got a lot of backlash. What I wanted to say was, is this the best Pakistan team comeback ever in a Test series? And I believe the answer is unanimously yes.
Only the first time in the past 3 decades where Pakistan has come back after being 1-0 from being in a series to winning it 2-1. The last time was against Zimbabwe. So, I mean, that just gives you context as to how historical this series win is.
Totally. So it's number one for me, honestly. And we honestly haven't had it in a very long time. So recency bias, totally tenure, but
Also with the context
I love
of, not having your main players, Babar, Naseem, Shaheen, even Abrar.
Yeah. Ahsan Ismail says, really amazing turn, no pun intended. Really amazing turnaround. I think a spinning template at home is a very good way forward. Our next home test series is against the West Indies, so hopefully we can have similar conditions. Sajid and Noman ready to go again. I think it's great for Babar, Shaheen, and Naseem to see this from the outside, to get that hunger back and want to be integrated again. I think from a fast bowling perspective, you could rotate a few fast bowlers in and out of the team, with spin being primary weapon. Away from home, of course, we need both of them and others to keep us competitive. Totally agree. I think that's probably going to be the underlying template. Ali Khan says, I think the morale of the past couple of days has been one should never punch down. It comes back on you in the worst ways, and this goes for us as well. Okay, but seriously, this is a controversial opinion. I think this team is Babar Azam'd out, where both parties need a break from each other. I believe both the teams and Babar both have regressed, and evidently a break from Babar has revitalized this team. It allowed players like KG to shine. I think going forward, it's best that Babar focuses on playing domestic cricket in Pakistan away from the spotlight, and younger blood such is pumped into the team, at least until the South Africa tour. Caveat from this point that Ali just made, Shadab Khan is playing domestic cricket this season.
Wonderful.
He's a captain of one of the Qaid-e-Azam Trophy teams I just saw.
He needs it.
And he's going to be playing this. He's not announced in any of the squads going to Australia or Zimbabwe or South Africa, I'm assuming. So he's out of the team for now, as it stands. And I think it's still a shocker that he wasn't announced in any of the teams. But they're going with a certain tactic, and I think that gives him good time to take the time off, regain his strength, regain his confidence in spin, and come back.
Aqib Javed, the reports are that an underlying reason between benching Naseem, Shaheen, and Babar was also a lack of team unity. And I think the way we've seen the boys fight the last 2 test matches, it looks like they're gelled in. It looks like they're far more united. And I hope they continue in that form.
A.M. Masood says that he wanted us to discuss how Shan closed out the game. We have absolutely
4 fours and
amazing,
a 6.
Lovely to see. Haven't seen a batsman make a statement like that in a long time. We whooped you by Shan at the end. There was a clear signal that he's here to stay, and Pakistan are on the up and up again.
That's a statement from him, and that too in English.
Umair Siddiqui says, and this is a perfect segue. I'm just gonna totally ignore your English jokes. Umair says, I'm sure Nazar has a slimy grin on his face researching the India game. And let's talk about India versus New Zealand. People have been accusing us, Bashar, that we only talk about India. We've only started talking about India recently, regularly on the podcast, because India is doing abysmally. What would you like to say to the haters?
I would say if India had won this series 3-0, I would not be talking about it. But the fact that India lost,
that's news.
And they lost the series, that is major headlines. New Zealand's first ever test series win in India. And this series loss at home for India breaks their 12-year unbeaten record. That to me is major, major headlines. I think regardless if you're Pakistani or not, that news is important to cover. And so we're here. New Zealand, without Kane Williamson, what is happening with these teams who are benching their main batsman and then winning series?
Maybe if India benched Kohli, they would also maybe been competitive.
His struggles against left arm spin are evident.
It was very surprising for me to see this result, if I'm being honest. Because we have a Pakistani background and because we live in Canada and we predominantly talk about Pakistan cricket, the assumption on the internet is that we are anti-Indian for some reason, which is not remotely the case. I think there's a lot of Indian players that are my actually favorite players and will go into my top 10 seamlessly. And it's just that when it's a David versus Goliath situation where it's an underdog situation, you always support the underdogs. And the powerhouse that Indian cricket has been in the past decade and a half, I would say, has just been that you have become accustomed or used to a certain brand of cricket being played by the Indian cricket team. They have the money. They have the most money that comes into them from the ICC revenue. They generate the most money. They have the IPL. It's shiny. It's blingy. It's smart. It's, insert proactive adjective here, right? It's all those stuff. And the why this is important is that it's a home series against New Zealand without their best batsman that India has somehow thrown away. Now, this signals to me a few different things. I think India is in a very weird transition state right now, where um, two of their biggest players of all time, I will say all time without a doubt, in Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, are nearing the end of their cycle.
In your opinion?
In my opinion, yes, genuinely, it's near the end of their cycle. They've retired from T20s and ODI World Cup and T20 World and Test matches. The ODI World Cup, next ODI World Cup is probably what they're going to eye if they make it there. And Test matches is predominantly what they play now. That shifts focus for them for sure. They're in the later ages of their career, and some of these dismissals that I'm seeing from these two people is just absolutely unimaginable and honestly undefendable. Like, you cannot defend Virat Kohli sweeping a ball that is on middle and leg, or middle and off, I should say, full toss, sweeping it,
Like going across the line.
going across the line. And I want to point this out right now. This is not the first time we've seen Virat Kohli get bowled out on a full toss. I want to take everybody back to MCG 2022, that T20I that India won, that Virat Kohli has been sort of immortalized and stuck in amber for.
Star Sports made a documentary.
3 documentaries.
The Diwali miracle.
I've seen 3 documentaries on that one shot against High.
More incoming.
People forget that in that match, he was clean bowled on a free hit to Mohammad Nawaz. It was a full toss.
Q and Ken backward point beat Mohammad Nawaz video.
Yeah, everybody check that out. He was bowled. It was a full toss. He was bowled on it, and he ran 3 off of it. And people mistake that, and people remember that because, again, India won that. But that was very similar. When I saw that dismissal, I think it was Sandner who got him out. Yeah, Sandner who got him out. And I saw that dismissal, I was like, no way that just happened, because it's very reminiscent of that game. And it just goes to show that a little lapse of judgment, a little lapse of focus, you're out like that. 36 all out, or 40, what was it?
46.
46 all out in the first test match, in the first innings, seal the deal for me. I had a lot of Indian fans coming in saying, hey, remember when Australia booked us for 36 and who won that series and blah, blah, blah. It's a new day, it's a new game, it's a new series. You cannot keep comparing those stats back. And I feel like a lot of Indian fans were left in the dark when that narrative was being repeated online. And honestly, some of them are heartbroken, taken aback. I don't know how India comes back from this. They see this loss. Rohit Sharma is getting a lot of flack from the press, a lot of flack from the media. If you think Pakistani cricket media is bad, take a step foot in India today, and you'll find out that it's worse there. And I'm feeling for them. I'm feeling for Kohli, for Sharma, for the old guard, but the new guard in Indian cricket team, they're stepping up. I saw Jaiswal in the second test match, second innings. They were out there chasing 359, I believe. And the second ball that he faced, he smacked Saudi for the biggest 6 I've seen in a very long time. It was beautiful to see. They took the game to New Zealand. They tried to even out some of that score and see if they can capitalize on the new ball and make as many runs as possible. They were going over 8.5 at one point. It was nice to see. Jaiswal is somebody that you've mentioned a lot. Shan, Sayed, Shan plays cricket. He's mentioned that a lot to me in private as well. That's one of his favorite players. And honestly, I see Jaiswal and I see Saim Ayub, and I want Saim Ayub to be the Jaiswal of Pakistan. And I love that this new guard is coming in, but it's putting a lot of pressure on this old guard. And I feel like they feel it now.
I think also why this series loss is so significant is because I would say under Virat Kohli's captaincy tenure, we saw India just scale up. If you've ever seen the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there's 5 layers to it. And then the base layer is psychological needs, followed by safety and security. And once you climb those ladders, at the top, you get to self-actualization. And I feel like the Indian test team got to a point where they mastered how to win at home. And they beat Australia in Australia, which is unheard of, absolutely incredible. They were drawing series against England in England. And they were at that point where they were thinking, okay, yeah, we got the India part sorted out. How do we beat teams abroad? I mean, one of the most hyped series coming up is India's tour of Australia,
BGT.
the Border Gavaskar Trophy. So amongst all that, India losing a test series at home for the first time in 12 years. I think this is the biggest news to come out of India in the last decade or so. I know they've won T20 World Cup, but still, test cricket is a real thing. I think India being exposed, firstly, with the seaming track that they had in the last test match. And I mean, if you look at that and you're like, how is India going to play well in Australia when they're going to have Hazelwood, Stark, and Cummins with more bounce, more pace,
and a more natural seaming track?
Yes. How are they going to cope up there? And then a spinning track, they sort of fell into their own trap. Mitch Santner, who has below average test match numbers. I don't think he's taken more than a 3-wicket haul in one test match innings, comes in, takes
13 wickets.
7 wickets in one innings, 13 in the whole test match, just bamboozling all of India's batsmen. It's absolutely shocking.
Yeah, and this is why we're covering this on the podcast. It's because that when something like this happens, we want to cover it. Also, we just don't want to be a Pakistan cricket podcast. We want our horizons to be broad. We want to cover all sorts of cricket, all forms of cricket. And this being one of the mega news, as Pakistan also wins at home for the first time in a long time. I think those two news, which are being concurrent, I don't know, man. There's some sort of destiny to that. What do you think?
I had people message backward point. They were like, I am more happy on India's loss to New Zealand versus being happy on Pakistan's win against England. And a lot of people will resonate with that. I think India's loss just made this more sweeter.
And it's not one of those things where we want India to lose. It's one of those things where, like, when Australia loses after a long time, you're like, man, it's been a while. I haven't seen that happen. And when India beat Australia in that series that you were talking about, again, we were with India. We're like, I don't want Australia.
They were the underdogs.
They were the underdogs. They came out. They won the series, and it's a wonderful comeback. I don't know. India goes to Australia after this. What do you see happening there? As a 5 test match series, Boxing Day test match at the MCG. It's going to be a packed house. A lot of Indian fans there. A lot of Australian fans there. What do you reckon is going to happen?
Man, I was looking at the squad that they announced there, and I think their batting looks a little bit inexperienced. Post Rahane and Pujara, I think they're lacking some sensible batting in the middle order.
Is Pujara retired?
I just don't think he's part of their plans going forward. Gill has come in at number 3. And then Sarfaraz Khan has come in at number, I think, 5 or 6. And they have Rishabh Pant as well. So I feel like India has outlined these batsmen to be part of their next World Test Championship cycle. The second part of that is, I know there's a lot of question on Virat Kohli and his stats against spin, what he's done in these 5 test matches he's played this year, averaging in the 20s. But if we know anything about Virat Kohli, the one thing that's certain is that he will turn up in Australia when it matters. I think he has like 4 test match centuries in Australia. And you best believe he will bring out his best in Australia. He's playing just the 2 formats, tests and ODIs. And I reckon this is going to be an important series in Virat Kohli's cricket career.
I agree, especially at the near end of it.
They're like, does he still got it?
Yeah, maybe people want to find out. I'll be tuning in to watch that, only because the matches suit us, the timing suit us. Wrapping up here. This has been a long pod, man. We're an hour and 10 minutes here. Just jubilant. Love the high that I'm feeling. It's been a long time since Pakistan cricket has actually given a smile to its fans. And, relish in it, guys. Whoever is a Pakistan cricket fan, whoever loves an underdog story, somehow Pakistan is an underdog at home, which is weird. Would love that narrative to change. And thank you guys for tuning in, for liking, subscribing, all that stuff. If you're listening on the audio airwaves, don't forget to leave a review. Would always appreciate that. Check out the Patreon if you guys want to stick around, have your questions read, jump on our monthly calls, etc., etc. Check out the link below. And
how far are we on the newsletter?
The newsletter should be out probably after this podcast is out. I don't want to claim anything and have it not be ready, but definitely by the next podcast.
So basically, backwardpointpod.com is live. Backward Point's
You want to see this at the tail end of the podcast?
If you know, if you've made it, you found out. This is the big reveal. Backwardpointpod.com, Backward Point's official website. Working on a lot of really cool things. Amongst them is a weekly newsletter written by myself and Nazarbhai. So the first one shall be out very soon. You can go on backwardpoint.com, sign up on the newsletter, absolutely free of charge, no money required. You can hear our thoughts on a weekly basis, like think pieces, analysis, stories of cricket, and
Creative writing, all that stuff.
yeah, I think a lot of you may not know, but Nazar Bahir is a published poet. He is a writer, and I think once you guys read articles from him, you'll be quite surprised, and this will be better than the one that he sent to Hammer Nakwi back in the day.
Yeah, if you know, you know. The first article, the first newsletter that's going to be coming out is called "The Hope That Is Pakistan Cricket," and you know I'm almost done with that. So hopefully, whenever you see this, you'll have that. You can check out the link below, sign up for the newsletter, be one of the first people to get recommended that. Again, Patreon and all that is also available for you if you guys want to check it out. Help support the podcast. Keep the lights on. This beautiful studio that we have built here. And yeah, hopefully Pakistan keeps winning and we keep coming back.
Yep, and you can also join the Discord channel in the comment section. The way that I watch matches nowadays is I go on Willow, I put it on, and then I go to the Discord immediately. And as I'm watching the match, I'm also like commentating with the backward pointers in the
You keep trying to make that happen, it won't happen, man.
in the live commentary channel that we have in the Discord, and you can also join the Discord for absolutely free. Join an incredible, growing and thriving, non-toxic cricket community where you can come in, have discussions with like-minded individuals. Links to join are in the bio.
Lovely. Guys, take care. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. It was definitely a long one, and but a much needed one. Take care of yourselves. We'll be back literally maybe in 24 hours. We're doing another pod. So much news drops with Pakistan cricket. You don't even know where to start, where to end. And by the time we probably finish that podcast, somebody else will happen and something else will happen and whatnot. So stay tuned. Keep an eye on the space, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Cheers.